All right. This is for all the wanksters and the non-believers that think that YouTube doesn't work. It's so if you think it's because you search has spoiled you. You've been ruined because if something isn't given to you, I know there's if there's not a one in the conversion column in Google Ads, then nothing must have happened. Boo-hoo! Poor me. What am I going to tell my clients? Oh, there's nothing happened. No, it's because that you're spoiled with direct attribution modeling, and the fact that if you target the commercial intent keywords like you do in Google search, you don't have this problem of indirect attribution because you've got very nice and neat immediate attribution that you can do. You influence action indirectly with YouTube. It's like a TV commercial. That's how it works. So the way that you get someone to buy is by making them do an action that they weren't already going to do before. You start with a premise. So you have an ad. You go, what action do we want people to take, right? And you build everything around that in your messaging, everything in that ad about the messaging. So you know what you want them to do, and then you give them your most compelling reasons for why they need to do what you want them to do. And you target a demographic that makes sense. You do smart shit like build in frequency, right? Because we've learned from television, we know what works and what doesn't. And you can figure out what happens. Now, this is an interesting case in that what we expected to have happen isn't what happened. And we have an explanation for that as well. But you start with the hypothesis, the way that you're going to influence action, and just having your knowledge of the way that it's worked in the past helps as well. So the reason that the thing I shared from the dude from Purple, he knows that you tend to see lift in branded search, paid branded search. Now that's because you're naturally selecting for ad viewers, like people without ad blockers. So the people that are going to see ads are the ones that are going to, or your SEM ads are the ones that are going to see your YouTube ads. So there's a little bit of a selection that goes on whenever you limit the window to, or you limit your way to influence action to people that can see YouTube ads. That's one reason. And the other reason is just because it makes sense. It's not possible to believe that if you do a good job hammering in your messaging, that the way that you're going to influence action is, oh yeah, I want that thing from that company, right? What's that company name? And then they type in your branded search. It's not, I'm not asking you to do fucking rocket science here. It makes sense. It makes perfect fucking sense. And this is a specific case where this is nicotine toothpicks, right? So it's something you've never heard of before. That's one reason why. It's not like I'm talking about dog food, right? This is nicotine toothpicks, and these ads that I ran were most people's first introduction to that kind of product, right? So that's one reason why it would happen. But we started with the premise of, or we started with the assumption that people are going to search the name of this brand of nicotine toothpicks. We learned that that's not what happened because we weren't able to build frequency because nicotine toothpicks are a sensitive product, which means we weren't able to build audiences to do frequency remarketing. So even when you can't, even when you're forced to do it poorly, it still works. So you can see here, this is me running an initial ad, and we sales went up compared to when we weren't running the YouTube ad. And this is my boss saying, let's quintuple the budget and see what happens. It's like throwing a boulder into a pond and then measuring the waves. Like that's kind of what a brand lift study is. And so we ran it for like 3 days. It's 1, 2, 3. And we actually saw a lift for 4 days, which is pretty cool. So what we learned is that we were able to influence action for more than like what happened. The story became, well, for 48 hours after people saw our ads, this happened, right? That's another thing that you can measure based on how good your ad is, or how like, oh my God, nicotine toothpick. That's, it's not impossible to imagine the guy sees the ad, he's seeing it because he used nicotine supplements, or he's looking at his quit, right? He's made a search for that recently. And then as he's reaching for his pack of cigarettes, he's like, yeah, I feel like shit. I want to quit smoking. What was the name of that thing? And what we found is, so like that, these are the same days, right? This was it before we were running. This is it when we ran the actual thing. Here are my notes. That's what happened. So we knew something happened. Users' revenue is also increased at a rate higher than just the number of users. So the people that were being drawn to the site were had commercial intent behind them, right? They only came because they wanted to buy. And in this specific case, it was like people were searching nicotine toothpicks. Right, that's basically what they were doing. This is a very small case. We spent like $100, I think, or $100 or $200 or $300. I can't remember. It might have been $100 a day. That seems like we ran this back in 2008, or 2018. So forgive me for not being completely up on it. But shit happened. Shit happened, right? People searched this keyword that weren't before. And they bought. It works. This didn't work well. We actually had to change the ad because the ROI wasn't positive. But you can influence action indirectly. You absolutely can. You totally can. You just need to fucking think and put some effort into it and quit being a spoiled paid search nincompoop. I'm going to be quiet for a minute because I'm using the desktop app. We're going to see. Let's get all the message. Let's get all the message in, Loom. All right. Goodbye.